So hello everyone and welcome to our event. For those who need to know, my name's Emma. The person sitting next to me is my co-star in the film, also my mother, Alison. Hi. Title suggests we will be discussing the developmental disability, autism. It's one of the most well-known and documented of the disabilities in the world, but also one of the most confusing. It's a confusing condition, not only to those who've never and will never have it, but also to the people with the condition itself. Here's what you need to know first. Autism is developmental, it's an individual experience. That means it affects people differently, both positively and negatively. Everyone today is welcome. After the main film is shown, feel free to ask questions, or feel free to just use the chat. And by everyone, that means anyone who were diagnosed young or older, if you were self-diagnosed, or you're just here because you want to learn a bit more about a condition your family, a friend or acquaintance has, or you're just, curious. That's completely fine. If you feel a question you have may sound stupid, you're free to privately message myself or Beth, but the saying goes, unless it's aimed to offend, there are no stupid questions here.
One reason why I want there to be more awareness of this is that one time last year, my friend Josh was dancing at a nightclub and one of the bouncers mistook him for being drunk, and we then left in protest. I learned recently that this was discrimination. This is a striking example of there not being enough awareness of how people behave as a result of disabilities like autism. It's also an example of people's behavior being misinterpreted. Some signs are so subtle that you can hardly notice them, so we need to raise more awareness. It can also make it difficult to have relationships with other people too if they don't understand you.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, one of the things we have to deal with is that sometimes there is a lot of confusion with the general public as to how we are in normal life, and sometimes um, anything can cause confusion or even like anger. That can be quite a scary situation to be in when you don't really know what you've done wrong or someone else has done wrong.
So, hi there, guys. My name's David Weir, and I'm the chairperson for the National Autistic Society's South Lanarkshire branch. Sorry, National Autistic Society Scotland South Lanarkshire branch. The South Lanarkshire branch has been going for 10 years. Recently, we done a campaign with Lisa Cameron. As part of at the branch, we've launched an adult group online, which Get Together can get involved in if you want, since it's online, which runs the second Tuesday of the month. We've also done a QA with Dr. Lisa Cameron, who's one of the MPs for South Lanarkshire region. More recently, I've joined the leadership group together with other autistic people and people with a learning disability for an exciting new campaign. This is a campaign in partnership with National Autistic Society Scotland, Scottish Autism, and Enable Scotland. The campaign will launch in the new year and will run up to the Scottish parliamentary elections. We will be calling for a commissioner for autistic people and people with a learning disability. One of them is, sorry, 2 seconds. We would like to include you if you're interested, just let us know. In Edinburgh, there is Autism Initiative, who runs services for adults and children from respite to drop-ins at number 6, what is in the West End. There is also the Lothian Autistic Society within Edinburgh, who provide clubs for children and adults, such as after-school activities. During my volunteering, I have raised awareness of autism because a lot of organisations do not actually know what autism is. Some of the awareness is the Autism Friendly Award, which is for organisations to set up a quiet space at quiet times. This is not happening now because of COVID. One of the quiet spaces in Edinburgh is the Scottish Parliament. It has a room for people with autism, and they do autism friendly sessions where it is quieter. It's where they can go if it gets too noisy within the Parliament. Edinburgh Airport also has one. Cinemas also do the Autism Friendly Award, which means the music is not at a height and the lights are not full. To find out more information what the cinemas do, visit dimensions-uk.org, and I'll put a couple of links in the chat for you as well.
A lot of people to understand more about disability, particularly autism, and how it affects me. I had anxiety, which I think is related to my autism, and my feet are not always clear, and
You can't always
read it with people. Yeah, it made me feel I don't want to talk to people, or I have panic attacks, and I get fixated, and I do memory, and I feel quite deranged, and I do the photo challenge to get their at home page, and it really helped my talk today, and I feel more energy when I met there, and I also do the acting, which I do at Yanha and at my day therapy. It isn't always easy for me. Call my anxiety and feet can work sometimes, and I'm not sure how to communicate, but things are getting easier, and people think I might be a type of person to have my disability, but they don't really understand. I mean, I'm not shouting, I'm quite secure, and they're fine with it, and how old I am, and sometimes people, especially teachers, say, oh, yeah, teachers did it, and you wouldn't be doing that, but actually maybe I would be, and people are still underestimating me, and it really makes you sometimes make me think about how independent I should be, and I think it's why I don't talk that much, but I'm really trying to, and I hope to get a career and build more relationships, and I want people to see my value, but it's very hard for people to think they do it sometimes, I think, and but understanding fear it helps, and people get assume things are true because you see them filmed and read them online, but real examples and people can find it, and that's why I'm doing this interview.
Well, autism does affect me in a variety of different ways. Some things about autism I find desirable, and some things are not desirable. It makes me very forgetful in the short-term department, which can be really stressful. Part of the reason why I get over heightened anxiety and stress about things I don't want is my autism, part of it. I have problems with social anxiety. I get shortages of breath when I'm nervous. I have to stop and take a deep breath. See where, I think I might have lost, there I am. I can get confused when I have to keep track of large sums of information. Sometimes I know what I want to say, but I find it difficult to communicate what I want to say. I have a different processing time. I've been like that since I came into the world. It's always been there like that at school when I would forget a jotter, and when people get impatient with me, it makes me feel stupid. I got this diagnosis when I was 9. Just going to scroll down a bit more. And it helped me understand why I approach social situations differently. Although at times I wish I didn't have autism because it can make life tough, there are things that can be good. And I don't know for sure if things would be better if I didn't have autism. Things could have turned out differently. A positive side of autism is that it can make you look at other areas that most people wouldn't think to look at. In life, I look for what I want, and sometimes I find what I don't want, because it's life. You just have to accept it. I've seen the lives of neurotypicals, and they don't always get what they want. And when they get things thrown at them that they don't want, they sometimes don't cope very well. It just depends how much time you've had to come up with a coping strategy for things you're not expecting. It can be difficult getting the right support. Good support is important. One of my carers gets me to write a diary every night, which helps me to channel negative thoughts and emotions, valuing positivity, like the hormonal treatment for my cancer diagnosis, trying to get me to subside negativity. An important thing that one support worker once said to me was, if ever you think that people outside of your friends and family don't take into account that you're a man, it's all in your head. You are a man. Sometimes I feel people don't acknowledge that I'm a man and an adult. That's people outside of my friends, just to make it clear. Good support workers are there to give emotional support and help with everyday things. I've got a good team of carers. I'm thankful for them.
That was great, Josh. That was awesome. A huge big hand actually to all our speakers, because talking about yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you've done it, it is quite scary, but the only person who can speak about obviously our individual autism is the individual themselves.
Autistic people, we're not challenging, we just find ourselves in challenging environments, and that can impact our behaviour or, you know, the way we see things.
Our house always looked like an indoor play area. You would know where all the toys were and you would line them up, and you were very much in your own world. And I kind of thought you didn't talk because you didn't have much to say.
There has to be a more positive way of showcasing and educating people, rather than, you know, having a documentary that focuses on pitying us, showing the negative aspects of us. There has to be. We deserve the dignity of being seen as human adults with our own dreams and feelings, not as objects of pity or to be seen as a mistake. Everybody has their own struggles in life. Life is not kind, but there is a lot of beauty in it too.
Okay, so we're getting some rounds of applause. I can see some people look very moved. I know I was really moved the first time I watched that, and even watching it
Well
again.
done, Emma.
Thank you.
Emma, thank you so much, and thank you to every other speaker. I'm so proud of you all, and your mum is like amazing. I'm so jealous. I would steal your mum in a second. She's so supportive.
You can take her. You can take her.
She'll be wrapped up on
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, and that was a real privilege. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Oh, wow.
I agree, Mary. I think it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a massive eye-opener as well, and I would not have missed it for the world. I just think you being so honest and open, and that's something that's really hard to do. And I just want to say, I see you all as inspirations. You have just done something massive. You are actually probably more clever and more talented than the majority of people, so they need to stop underestimating, because you are a force not to be reckoned with.
You're an inspiration too, Lauren, because you were very brave talking about all your disabilities and how they affect you on a daily basis and the official diagnosis, and all you could do to basically just blank out what people told you about that BS, you know, of not being able to have a kid just because of your conditions. you know, that's wrong, you know, and you proved them wrong, you know, you did. That was an inspiration, and you're equivalent of what we did.
But my question really, so thanks to you all for being so frank. You also reference labeling, you know, that you were diagnosed at some point. So my first bit of the question is, how useful is it to you to have that label? Is it useful? And in what way? That would be interesting to know. And at Get Together, we have this way of working with people which we call adult to adult. So we would treat everybody, regardless of what labels or presentation they may have. Our assumption is that they're adults. So we will talk to people and have expectation of adult. And is that helpful? I suppose that's my question. So 2 bits. Is it useful for you individually to have a label? And secondly, is an approach of treating you as an adult helpful? Not taking account of the label.
Well, in some cases, I want it to be taken into account to try and be understood why it is I am the way I am, but I don't want someone to define me for autism, because it doesn't define me. You know, I'm me. I'm the man that I am, regardless of the condition that I have.
I don't think it made a bit to my important university and my benefits, and it helped me get into Yanha and stuff like that. But apart from that, I do really like being treated like an adult, and I don't like it when people think more immature between my autism or anything like that.
I'm just going to read out Neil's comment in the chat. He says, people are people, treat them as people no matter what.
I'm actually not too sure how to answer that, because on the one hand, it is good for me to be, you know, quote unquote labeled. But at the same time, when I meet someone, I don't go automatically go, I'm Emma, I'm autistic. First time I meet them, I just say I'm Emma. My first label is my name. My first label is obviously the name I go by. That's the most important, you know, quote unquote label. Autism is probably second, but I've got other labels in my name, but I'm not going to list them when I meet the strangers. I just want them to know me first. Once I'm comfortable, then I'll mention I'm autistic. Sometimes, most of the time, it's very much, oh, I didn't know that, and then that's it. But sometimes it can be a bit awkward, like, all right, didn't know, and then they'll walk away and never talk to me again. That's the extreme case.
I know most of you who were on the panel for some time now, and I've seen you mature. I've seen you kind of grow up. I've seen you becoming more adult. So what was it over those couple of years? What made you change? What was the shift? Were the opportunities you were given helpful?
My mum just answered for me, basically life changes. I don't know, maybe as I'm getting older and more, you know, confident in going out and learning some stuff, certainly over the internet. The internet was I didn't go on the internet until I was 17 because I was so terrified of, you know, the horrors of being hacked, the horrors of people messaging me, and the fact I can't read. When I'm with someone, I know how they're feeling because of the autistic people seem to know how someone else is feeling. They might not understand why that person is feeling as they are, but I can sense it. It's almost like a second language. But as you're going on the internet and you become more confident socially, and you learn how to mask, you learn a lot of stuff about yourself. It's like, why am I wasting time, you know, being showing a version of myself all the time? It's just wearing me down. Why do I have to find a job that requires work time and it doesn't take account of my health? Why isn't there work out there? Why isn't there more work out there that's going to take account of my health first, rather than having me as another meal, I guess. So you learn a lot about yourself as you're getting older anyway. You never stop learning about yourself. it's a bit complicated having autism because sometimes you don't understand yourself. And one of the reasons I am an actor is to get away from myself sometimes. So I learn about that. I think you become more and more frustrated because no one is talking for you. So you end up saying to yourself, well, you're the only one experiencing the autism at the moment. So the only person who can talk on your behalf is you. And now it's finding the confidence to do that. I guess I'm lucky in a sense. As I love acting, that's kind of helped me. But for lots of other people, that's going to take a longer time because autism is an individual thing.
Can I butt in as well? It's just to say, I think like groups, when you all get together, I often think, I think it was C.S. Lewis who said, friendship is formed when you meet someone and go, what, you too? And I think when you all meet like this, you suddenly go, oh, what, you too? That's your experience too. Do you get nervous? Do you get anxious? Do you panic you're on the right bus 6 times? You know, do you have to check your watch 8 times and make sure it's an even number? And you suddenly realize that the world is made up of wonderful, unique individuals. And you've got every right to take your place in that world as you. And I think things happen and you realize, I think for Emma, something happened and you realize actually life is short and it's too short to go through acting as if you're someone else. And if you've been put on this earth for a reason, then it's to be you. And the world will be a worse place if you're not you. There's only one you, and you're the best you. And I think you just grow up with that. But groups like this help because you see other people and think, yeah, they're confident, they can do it, and I can do it too. So I think these groups help people realize that they're grown up. You know, they want to be we're all adults and we all do daft things.
And almost subconsciously getting more confident even if you're not aware of it.
Yes, yeah.
Part of what I typed up in my own speech, I have a hard time understanding it sometimes, like how I could get so paranoid about such a thing as what my carers had said to me so clear. My carer's Italian and, you know, she has her own way of speaking, but it's getting to the same point though, it's as clear as water. When she told me that when you think that people outside of your friends and family, not your friends and family, because you're confident that they take into account that you are a man. Oh yeah, totally. No, they call me things like gentleman, you know, or a great guy. That's taken it into account. But I'm meaning complete strangers when I'm saying this. And she was saying, well, I don't know if that's your autism that makes you think that. No, but I think it is, because I've got a friend who has autism and he feels that way as well. You know, that people don't acknowledge that he's a man outside of his friends and family, that is, not his friends and family, people outside. And she'd use the saying it's as clear as water, which is an old Italian expression that means it's so obvious, it's crystal clear. You're obviously a man. But I think autism has a thing where it can distort perceptions. That's why I'm sort of bringing that in, because I think how autism's kind of affected me is it's sort of distorted my perception of things. Because if I think about that, that's not really logical, because I'm quite clearly a man, you know, so even a complete stranger, you know, is going to take that into account, you know, which is one of the things I find hard about the condition, when it kind of gives me problems with distorted perception or paranoid thinking, you know, that I want to kind of subside it, which is why I've got a diary here, you know, to write everything down to try and subside it. You know, one of the things is trying to acknowledge that even strangers will take it into account, because it's pretty clear to see.
I think it's learning a lot from Get Together, and my experience really helped me mature.
In what way, Amy, do you think you could tell us?
Well, like I know more about relationships, very, very good, and I know about dealing with it from the work I'm doing in life, and
Well, thing is, 4 years ago, it was still 4 years ago where I got out and about and I got to experience the outside world. And in those 4 years, I have learned so much, and it's helped me come more out of my shell, if you know what I mean. I've got more experience about how to do this and how to do that. And other thing is, when I'm at my work, one thing I love about my autism is that when I'm at my work, it helps me to get things done to a certain standard. It helps keep me on my toes. That's one of the things I love about my condition. It helps keep me on my toes and being more aware of what I'm doing. Helps me get things done to a certain standard. So one for that particular reason alone, I can't imagine myself without this. I really can't.
So Lucas has said, I think people forget that no matter what gender, race, disability, sexuality someone is a person, regardless of that.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm interested that people are referencing autism as a label. A lot of autistic people I have met feel that autism is part of their identity, part of who they are. What do the panel think of that?
Yeah, it is part of my identity. I think I might be very different without it.
I usually use the word label just because it's more of a, quote unquote, your typical language. It's easier to just say it's a label rather than identity. Because if you say, for me anyway, when I say to people that I identify as autism, as autistic, they're like, were you actually diagnosed? Where you'd still come up with weird questions like that. So I basically, the word label basically means I have been diagnosed. That's what it is for me. It's one of the reasons why I don't say I have Asperger's, because all the time, especially as a teenager, it would be like burger? There's a burger ass. So like, I'm like, okay, I'm autistic, fine, take it.
I don't think as her family we would have ever got Emma diagnosed, because we've got 3 other kids that are just as crazy as she is, and none of them have got labels. I mean, I'm from Yorkshire and short-sighted, and I don't introduce myself as, hello, I'm Alison, I'm from Yorkshire and I'm short-sighted. It just doesn't figure in my mind. But for us, the only way to get Emma extra help at school was to get her diagnosed. And that's the problem, is you have to get diagnosed to get the help. You have to accept the label for society to help you. And I think that it's terrible. But at the moment, that's just the way it is. It's not an excuse, maybe it is an excuse, but it really is just, without the diagnosis, there would have been no help whatsoever, and Emma would have continued to struggle at school.
I think it's treated as a label by health professionals or scientists, whatever you want to call them. And you have to learn as you're getting older that it is a part of you, it is a part of your identity. But it is treated, especially with young people, as just a label for school officials or doctors to go, okay, this person needs extra help. And it's not about the individual at all. It's about, okay, this person's like autistic, this person's autistic, this person has Down syndrome, all the way, not taking account of the individual. That's my main chief critical.
Barry's got a question as well for Emma in the chat about the movie.
What's our plans for the movie?
Sorry, I'm looking for the question.
Well, obviously, if it gets to Hollywood, I'd like Brad Pitt to play the part of Emma.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
That sounds like a good idea.
Why are you putting it?
Your mum's brilliant, Emma.
I'll take my part-time book.
So why? Here's a question for your mother. Why Brad Pitt?
Why not? Can I not be weird by my choice?
The seventh choice.
Oh, the bathroom's upstairs, Mum.
Go on.
From an activist standpoint, and I use that term loosely, I would rather ABA therapy, which is what I mentioned in the film, not be recommended for autistic children. It was never meant for autistic children. It was meant for children that had behavioural issues. Autistic children not challenging or have behavioural issues in the first place. And, forcing kids, the term is to be polite. All you're doing is forcing kids to act as they are. And for autistic people, that is mentally damaging and trying, to the point, as my mum said, I collapsed one day and had to go to hospital for a week or so. and especially for girls, you're growing up thinking the therapy thing is just very low self-esteem, where it's damaging for kids and it shouldn't be used at all. It's an old thing that should be taken out or certainly not recommended.
Well, you get
also
100% support from Scottish Autism. Certainly people in Autism Europe need to hear that, so let's get the message out.
As a theatre actor, I'm sorry, there's going to be a list. As a theatre actor, there's been a recent surge in confrontation. I don't know if you know the artist Sia or Saya, whatever her name is, she hides her face. She released a film where about a non-verbal autistic girl. The actress herself is not autistic, so immediately that causes a raise of issues. But her excuse was that the environment would not be helpful for an autistic child. I was in a show called The Reason I Jump with the National Theatre Scotland. There were 4 non-verbal children, child actors, and they all responded differently. One person used a machine, one person used pictures to talk, one person used sign language, and there was a little boy who was 11 years old who didn't respond at all. He would just look down and mumble songs. And the environment was changed for each of them. So my response to that is, well, why didn't you change the environment? You have to make the work environment. So I'd like the work environment, regardless of where it is, to be helpful and healthy, not just to autistic people, but to everyone.
Fair and equal.
Yeah, I think COVID, as horrible as it is, has opened up a lot of thoughts about that. University students who can't go into classes, they were denied their accessibility to, if they weren't able to go to class, it's like, well, don't bother coming back or something. You know what I mean? And I guess for me personally, I'd like to still be continuing filming or be a voice, whatever that means. I still don't know in my life where I'm going to be, if I am going to move out or, stuff. There is a lot of worries there. I'm trying not to worry about it though. Just continue filming, doing what I love to do.
You might worry when they change the locks. You might have to...
I also don't want Brad Pitt anywhere near my movie.
Ask a question. See, if you didn't have the family support that you have got, would that have really changed things?
Yeah, I certainly think so.
Because your mum seems like a huge part, and she seems amazing, and I'm just like, has everybody else got family support as well that's got autism?
There's a lot of people out there in the world that don't have family support, or
that would be more scary, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Yeah, because well, a lot of people say autistic people like to be alone, but there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And if you don't have that family support, you will get lonely, and that can cause very negative health issues in the past and paranoia that no one likes you.
And we do get it wrong. I mean, if a family, we've got it wrong, terribly wrong in the past. So we haven't always been supportive. And also, a lot of it's to do with the way that I was brought up, of who I am. So it's a huge family background. I think we just need to get to a point in life and in the world where we just keep celebrating who we are and the wonderful individuals that we've been made, whatever labels society decides to give to us, and just love and support one another. But sometimes support doesn't just come from your family. Sometimes your family get it so wrong that you need to reach out to your friends.
Sometimes your friends are your family as well.
And every kid,
absolutely.
For another label, every teenager hates their parents, So there's times when you hate your parents, and times, let me tell you, when parents hate you as well. So, we need each other.
Honesty and openness of this event is unbelievable, and I think that that movie's going to go places.
Yeah.
And every single person I spoke to today is amazing, and they're going places too.
Absolutely, and Charlene said in the chat, thanks for asking me along, it's been the best part of my week. And I would say amazing to see this event together. Thank you so much to everyone for coming, and it's been an absolute privilege to listen to everyone's stories, and I'm sure this is not the end of the discussion. A lot of connections have been formed today and people exchanging contact information. That's brilliant. So Josh, I know you're just going to pass on some contact details, so I'll keep the Zoom open for you to do that, but anyone else who's needing to head off now.
I've done it now. I've forwarded.
Done it already.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you all later. Thank you so much for this. Amazing.
See you all later.
See you. Take care. See you.